Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again, folks, to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. And boy, by Judge, we really have a show going. In fact, it's the first time I've got into a series kind of a situation, and it's well worth it. Let's put it that way. Well, the biggest issue that we have today within our environment is the whole issue of homelessness. And this interview that I've been doing, and again, the series, we're all homeless, and we're all impacted by homelessness.
That's right.
And a lot of folks don't understand that. Whether you're wealthy, whether you're a corporation, whether you're middle class, whether you're upper class, whether you're poor, whether you have nothing, whether you're on the streets, I mean, we're all homeless. We got to get our act together so that folks could live in harmony. We want corporations to be corporations. We want millionaires to continue keeping your millions. But I'm a little guy, and I want to be able to keep my little house. And I want my 8-to-5 job, and I want to continue to deal because, so on and on and on. But my point is that this is a series. So we're going to continue on where we left off with Michael Halloran, who is the guest today here on the Oregon Voters Digest. And we're talking about solutions to the issues that are most important. Again, like I said, issues. Some of you maybe didn't catch the first show, but go back. And you'll go back and check it out on YouTube, okay? Got me? And the whole idea that whether it be mental illness, whether it be crime, whether it be guns, well, all these things that are just blowing. Now the pandemic is coming back to the table. People are worried about that piece. But the bottom line is that it's homelessness. If you don't have shelter or public safety, guess what? You're all part of the problem, part of the issues. We got to solve the problem, and it's going to take all of us. It's going to take us all working together to do this, okay? As what's the old saying? It takes a village, if you will,
yeah, that's
to raise
right.
a child. It's going to take a village, if you will, to solve this problem of homelessness where we are and other issues as it relates to homelessness, okay? Got me? So, Mike, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you.
This is series number 2, and we're going to go through this next hour talking to your deal, and if we're not through then we'll have series 3.
Oh, okay.
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 All right. So let's go with series number 2.
Okay.
Just briefly, okay. You want to do just a little recap in terms of where we've been,
Okay.
and then how you translate to where you start again.
Okay, well, I'll run a quick
Real
recap
quick, right,
down,
okay.
okay? One of the big solution is Portland phone polling, where we want to set up a system of Portlanders calling in on issues, and if they pass by a vast majority, then having a party so we can implement those issues.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Another one is the solutions for the housing shortage. But let me just interject this part. The problem, you grew up in a household where I assume that you had a parent that worked and a parent stayed
Both
home.
Both parents.
Good for you.
Right.
Good for you, yeah. And one parent was able to cover the cost of the family.
That's right.
Same with me. I had there were 6 in our
Right,
family.
exactly.
Okay, and now that can't happen.
Can't
The
happen
woman's
anymore.
working. Okay, so that's the basis of this problem is economic inequity.
Yep.
But we're not going to solve that. Okay, that's not something we can do, but we can do other things. So
Right.
this is the housing shortage. Okay, 3 solutions for the housing shortage: allow people to rent out their garages if they supply certain things. Take houses that are vacant for 3 months or more and fine them $100 months per bedroom if they stay vacant. That's another solution because we want places occupied, and we want places occupied by the owner, ideally. So, we can set up a system so that it rewards people who do that and punishes people who don't. And we can also allow people to have, for the unhoused, we can have shelters, self-governing, 25 or smaller that are fenced with a community agreement. That's another way that we can do this. And then another thing is that we can, as far as housing, is that we can allow only persons to own property.
Okay.
Own housing property.
Housing property, right.
Yeah,
right.
so, other corporations can own towers and stuff like this.
But we had a system that way at one point in time.
Yeah, and I, the thing that the Supreme Court declared corporations persons. I love the bumper sticker says, "I'll believe corporations are a person when Texas executes one." So, and then another radical solution for the drug problem that we have in this culture, and that includes all drugs, including tobacco and caffeine and all this, right, is that I think that it would be appropriate to zone an area called the O-Zone, where all drugs are legal on a per-dose basis, and prostitution is legal between consenting adults, and the prostitutes are clean.
Controlled environment.
Yeah, controlled environment, totally secure. Right. And nobody can drive out of there unless they blow, less than 0.08, and you can have alcohol there. We're not going to allow drunk drivers to leave the place, But you have these rules, but everything is allowed there, so all this ills that is spread through our community, cancer,
on an ongoing basis,
is in a place where it can take place instead of out in the community. And you can have Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and social workers there, and the city can make a bunch of money off of it. So that's another solution that I think is appropriate for moving this thing along. We need solutions. And
now, one thing you said, I gotta disagree.
Yeah.
From the standpoint you said the city will make a bunch of money off of it. You see, but again, it's controlled by the people. It's the government. So give them back. Quit raising their taxes.
Oh, right. Oh, absolutely.
And lower the taxes for seniors and things of that nature. But keep their homes and their environments together, as opposed to basically right now, you get rid of them.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, that's what 2008 was with all those foreclosures.
Yes,
Get rid of these people, man.
That's right.
And the vast majority of them were minorities.
That's right. But my point is that if we keep it at this particular rate, corporations are going to start filling it too.
Yeah, right.
They're not going to be able to handle the corporation. We're going to probably be right back where we were by basically saying, give up all the jobs to another nation like China.
Yeah. Yeah,
all the jobs are going again. That's what happened.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Took the jobs out.
Sure.
I mean, they couldn't pay the real estate.
Yep.
Couldn't pay that mortgage rate payment aspect of it. But now all of a sudden we're saying, wow, looking at war. Anyway, we can go on and on and on. Going on. You see what?
Yeah, we're going on and on and on.
you
but we're looking for solutions.
We're looking for solutions.
Yep.
And that's what we're talking to.
Yeah, and you're not going to solve the poverty wages solution.
No,
I mean, geez, the guy goes out there and works for $15 an hour. Oh, yeah. He's going in the hole every day. Yeah. And so there's something, but that's we don't have that solution.
Right.
But what we do have is we have the anti-camping ordinance, and that's what we're dealing with today.
Right.
And it is not when they passed the Oregon Bill 3115. Okay, they put in that bill, they allowed people to sue. Okay.
When was this bill passed?
It was passed 2 years ago, but it had an enactment time of whenever this was passed. Whenever they passed this new ordinance.
Right.
Okay. But when the legislature passed the law, they said one thing that I thought was really kind of cool is you can get attorney's fees.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's outrageous.
Wow.
What it says is that if a unhoused person feels this law, and catch this language, is objectively reasonable. Thank you. Yeah. If they feel it's not objectively reasonable, then they can sue in the respective county court, which is what I'm going to do in Multnomah County Court, because they stole my tents that I had outside in City Hall. And so I want to plus I have a whole list of other things too that they've been doing, so want to challenge this ordinance because one of the things that it does is it says it's illegal to camp on any public property. Well, excuse me, I understand you have control over the city of Portland property, You don't have control over all Multnomah County property. You don't have control over all state property. You don't have control over all federal property. Excuse me, this is government overreach. Okay? And they also say you can't camp in any sidewalk. Okay? Well, now, you familiar with easements at all?
Yep.
Okay. You know that you own the property out into the middle of the road.
Right.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you for knowing that. Okay? What they have put on your property, private property, is they have put a transportation easement on that property, which allows the state of Oregon to put certain restrictions on that transportation easements.
Okay.
One of the restrictions that they put on there, they put very few on there. One they put on there is that you can't have any foliage or any solid within turn lane so you can see.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, the city of Portland doesn't have authority to put anything they want on that transportation easement. Only the state of Oregon does.
Right.
But they say you can't camp in that transportation easement without authority of law.
Okay.
Okay? So this is your private property. It's not their property, it's your property.
Do they understand that?
No, they don't understand. They don't need to understand it. What they do, they're always had, they've never felt want or need. So when you're trying to figure out solutions, you don't think about down here, you think about what your life path has been. Okay? So, and we need to restrict these people. Okay, so there's no empathy, like you say in the earlier show we did. There's no communication. They don't need the communication because they know what needs to be done. These people, I like this term, they're in my view shed.
Okay.
Okay. And let me be clear about one thing. Nobody likes the way it is now.
That's right. That's a fact.
Okay. Nobody. Okay.
That's right.
Nobody. Okay. So So since nobody likes it this way, how can we make it better?
Yeah. Right. That's right.
Okay.
And even the people that you're saying that put this piece on, they're trying to protect themselves too.
Oh, absolutely.
See what I'm saying?
Trying to protect the reputation of the city of Portland.
That's right, because they own part of that piece.
That's right, man. So, there need to be changes, but these changes, when it comes from the top, it's the carrot stick thing. You either do this or do that. You either go. Here's what they have set up with this whole thing, and this is part. I see this nationally going on, so it's coming from some source.
Okay.
The deal is that we're going to set up these shelters, which we call concentration camps. Because they're fenced and they have all these rules and everything. Okay, and you can only go in this shelter if you're recommended. Okay, but then if you go in that shelter and you get kicked out, then they have a term for it. I think it's shelter resistant. Okay, so if you're shelter resistant, then you're susceptible to being a criminal because you're outside the shelters and you're not doing it the way we want you to do it, and you can't be in the shelters because they kicked you out. Okay, so that's what they're setting up. Shelter resistant. That's the term.
Shelter resistance.
Yes.
Wow.
So we put all these people, and what I liken it to is the internment of the Japanese. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Now in Portland, I love how this popped up. Okay. Well, actually, it was in Hood River. A young man who had just graduated from law school. Okay, so he read the Constitution. Oh, you can't do this to me, right? And of course he was right, but then again, so what they did, I love this aspect of our legal system, right? Okay, so he sued and said, you can't do this to me. And so what they said is that you didn't report, did you, to the camps? No, I didn't report to the camps. Oh, you gave up your citizenship then.
Oh, wow.
Since you gave up your citizenship, you have to go to the camps.
Wow.
Okay, and that is what the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the internment of the Japanese on.
Wow.
Okay, on that
One
head
piece.
of a pin, you know, if you lived within 120 miles of the ocean and you were of Asian descent, you had to go to the internment camps, and you didn't have an interesting thing in Portland, okay? All the ringleaders, all the higher echelon in the Japanese community were rounded up 24 hours after Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
They were ready. Okay? And the Japanese didn't have any time really to sell anything. They had to sell it for peanuts, or they had to walk away from it. So a lot of people got free property.
Wow.
Okay, so this is, you know, and it was legal.
Legal.
Yeah, I'm sure it was legal. The Supreme Court said it was legal.
Wow.
Okay, so this is legal too. Unless a court says it's not legal and restrains the city. One of the things in here, and you can read it in section G in there, if they see property that they think was caused by the unhoused that is on your property, they can go take it.
What?
Yeah.
Now, who would own it then? The unhoused?
Oh, now, no, I mean the authorities can come take a rapid response.
Okay.
They can come on your property and take stuff they think is garbage
Right.
off your property. Now, in theory, they have to have the property owner's permission to go on the property to clear it up. They have to have a written thing from the property owner, in theory. And like I say, I'm on private property, and they violated they come on, stole a bunch of my plywood and stole a bunch of other stuff.
Are you saying that that's where the cities come in from the standpoint of taking the tents off the off the sidewalks and things of that nature? Because in fact, they did it for the folks who were in wheelchairs too. Remember? We just went through the lawsuit, and so who?
You know, this, and here's something I try to explain to the court, because the court, their life pattern is up here, you know, fancy, you know, they've gone to law school and all this kind of stuff, but they have no idea. They're reading black on white paper. That's what they're doing, you know, and that's how I'm communicating with them, in theory, on black on white paper. Let's go black on black down there on the asphalt, okay? Okay. That paper says nice, pretty things, and that ain't what's going on the asphalt. What's going on the asphalt is they're stealing all your stuff and they're throwing it away. You know, that's hey man, I've had them steal my stuff over 20 times, and this is one of my entertainments for a period of time. I'd always try and get it back. One time,
share a couple of.
Okay, they gave me an address. They said they told me it was out by the bus barn there on Barber Boulevard, or the bus, you know, conglomerate out there.
Right.
They gave me an address. I went out there. It didn't exist.
Someone taking it? Or they just...
No, the address didn't exist.
Oh, the address didn't exist. So did you follow up on that?
Yeah. You know.
So you went back. You went back to them and said, "Hey, look. There's no address."
They ran an article about it in Street Roots, but nobody else would touch it.
Yeah, but again, like I said, people don't. You know what I'm saying? Only the folks on the street. Picks it up. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh no, they threw it away, man. They throw it away all the time. They stole 4 tents from me in 2016. I saw them pick up the tents, and I called to try and get my tent back. Like I say, it's kind of a joke with me, you know. Right. I had one sequence, this is quite a few years ago, where I called, I think I have it in my records, I called like 3 times, when no answer, and, you know, leave a message. And then I think it was the 4th time when I called, I got somebody who answered the phone, and he said, "Oh no, that's the wrong phone number, you got to call this phone number." So I called that phone number 3 times, and then the 30 days that they're supposed to hold it was up.
So
well, if they had it, they threw it away, but you know darn good and well they didn't have it, and they didn't answer the phone because they just didn't want to deal with it.
Wow. And you've gone through that several times.
Oh, hey, I've gone through it 20 times.
Wow. You
know, and they always throw it away.
Wow.
You know, and you read Street Roots, you know, they got some articles about that.
Right.
Oh, one of them, Wheeler wanted to have a parade in Chinatown.
Right.
So, he sent his crew down there to clear it out, right? Rapid response, and this one woman was being cleared out. Says, hey, these are all my clothes in this bag, man. I don't want you to take all these clothes. Where can I put them? Oh, you put them over there, they'll be okay. So she put them over there, and another guy comes by and says, you can't have this here. She said, oh, they said I could have it here. So he grabs her bag and he takes it over and he rips open her bag and throws her articles of clothing one at a time in the dumpster. Okay, that's in Street Roots, and
what happened after that?
Well, she didn't have any clothes.
But then what happened after that? My point is that did she respond to the city or whomever?
Oh, hey, man, you can't. Hey,
I'm a lay person, you know what I mean? I'm worried about my clothing now.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you give up.
Wow.
You give up, man. I'm a woman with a, she's got to get all new clothes. Of course, she's going to get new clothes. I mean, sure, and they're not going to quite be the ones she wants, but that's what ruins your hope.
Stories. Yeah. Oh, I got you.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the hope?
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, they steal your tent. You got to get another tent. Now, you're going to be a few days without a tent, and you got to carry all your stuff, whatever you got.
So where are we with the tents to start with? Well, I remember one of the commissioners, Gonzalez.
I didn't want to give out.
You gave up to said, let's get rid of these tents. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that piece.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's...
What happened to that?
Well, they're not giving out tents. That's what happened.
They're not giving out tents.
Yeah, yeah, because they were concerned about fires.
But I still see tents.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, well... if you want a street example, there's a woman called Janika Sharon, Sheron. Janika goes around and gives away food and gives away tents and gives away... Well, Fred Meyer, just this last posting, she put on... Fred Meyer had writing tablets for 25 cents a piece, so she bought 100 of them, right? And pens. And so, they unhouse, you want to write. Oh, yeah, I'd love to have something to write.
Right.
So she does these kinds of things, front line kind of things.
Okay.
Giving out and helping people.
Across the city.
Oh, yeah. She just wherever she feels like going, and there's plenty of places where.
Yeah, right.
So, people get tents. One thing in our neighborhood where I am on Springwater Trail, this never made the media at all. Some person or persons had a flamethrower, and in a few days time period burnt up 5 tents down where we are.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy, I asked him, I said, hey, man, what happened? He said, oh, yeah, man, I don't know. What the fuck, man? The thing was on fire. I woke up, it was on fire, man. I barely got out, barely got my woman and my dog out.
Huh. But you never see those in the main media.
Oh, no, not at all. They're too common.
Mm.
Okay, and what do you see of that really the main media does on the unhoused anyway? There's nothing personal on the unhoused, Street Roots every once in a while, but nothing on the Oregonian or Pamplin's paper or anything like that. It's just like we're the untouchables. We're the new untouchables. Okay, but you're putting solutions out there to the people. There are solutions. There are things that can be done.
Yes.
And we can. One of the things about politics I've decided over the years is most politicians are like flags.
Okay.
You create enough of a breeze and they'll line out.
Yep. That's what we are today.
Yeah. We need to create a breeze.
That's right.
To solve this problem. But I like the Portland phone polling. Let me go back to that for a little bit, okay? The idea, we'll branch out a little bit, and we covered it with our one earlier, but the idea is to get Portlanders, a bunch of them. Hopefully we get a nugget of like 10,000 before we start.
Voters,
Yeah, and you just get online and we'll put issues online and you say whether you like it or you don't. And if these issues pass by a substantial majority, then we have a function where people come together and people decide how they're going to solve it. This isn't an organization to solve all these problems. This is a platform where people can voice their opinion.
Right, very important.
And be together with other people that want to solve that problem.
Right.
Because right now there's no platform for that.
Well, in all due respect, that's really that's what the premise, if you will, of this country was all about to begin with.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It was about the people. Again, like I said, it was inclusive.
Yeah.
A government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Yeah, but you look a little closer, brother. Look a little closer. George Washington had slaves, brother.
Well, I know that.
Jefferson did too.
Yep.
So, and it was the white male landowner.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. See?
Okay, but do you know about their association with the Confederate tribes of the Iroquois?
Uh-oh. Talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about that, brother. Okay.
That's good. Get a little of that then.
Okay, well, yeah, now that some of my first peoples taught me this quite a few years ago. We were starting a political party in Alaska, okay? He became a member, and we chatted, and I figured in, I researched, and he's right, okay? They had a confederation of 7 tribes of the Iroquois.
Okay.
It had a legislative, administrative, and judicial branch.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. But so what they did is they would pass laws. Okay. And this is the fun part about learning this. Okay. When a law passed, it was sent to the women. Okay. They didn't participate in this legislative, administrative, judicial process.
Right.
But any law that passed went to the women. And if they vetoed it, it was dead. Somehow,
wow.
we forgot that one.
Oh, wow.
Because, like I said, it was a white male landowner.
Yeah. That was the process. If you didn't own no land,
right,
you couldn't participate at this top level. Right. That's
right. Yeah. So they and most of those people were either lawyers or surveyors, and they wanted to steal the land from the Indians instead of having the king steal the land from the Indians.
Right.
And they could sell it.
Yeah, they put their own group together.
That's right.
And that's what the revolution was all about.
That's right.
A lot of people don't understand that.
That's right.
That was a revolution.
That's
right. We talked about the Civil War, but no, the real meat was the revolution.
That's right. We get the land.
Then we get the
That's
land.
Us. Here, free land in Oklahoma.
That's right.
Nobody's there.
That's right. I can still remember those movies,
Oh, yeah.
Where they basically said, okay, here's the line. Anybody that wants to get some land, you got to all start and then just go.
Right.
And then everybody gets a plot or whatever.
That's right.
Anybody can get that plot.
That's right.
But my point is that we don't talk about that history, and I'm just throwing that in there to say that. And so, see, it wasn't a slavery deal; it was an economic thing.
Right. Yeah.
In many ways. Got my point?
Yep.
And there were free slaves at that point in time. Some of them owned that land too.
Yeah.
Especially down south. You know what I mean? I mean, you hear about it today, but in all due respect, media and communication don't spend enough time talking to how there was an acquisition of the land. Now they're farmers like other farmers, the smaller farmers, are fighting for their land now to a certain degree, or they were farmed and they want some changes so they can keep that land.
Yep.
Okay. And every so often you might see an African American sitting on his farm, on his plot.
Sure.
And then his relatives are basically coming back and staying on the land and doing things. So my point is that, but people are constantly trying, again, some entities are still bringing it to the table about the racial overtones and using other language like reparation.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. Yep. See what I'm saying? My definition of reparation, in all due respect, was the military time, when the Civil War aspect of it.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that when blacks got in there, the bottom line is that Lincoln basically said, look here, anybody that wants to get into the Army will get 40 acres and a mule.
There you go.
It wasn't defined for blacks.
40
acres and a mule. Okay?
Right.
And then, so consequently, that to me was it.
Yep.
And so the way things happened, he also I guess he also identified other slaves that participated, whether they would be secret agents or this, that, and the other. But my point is that that's the focus that should have been talked to the reparation piece in many ways, because they signed. I mean, I can still see the movie Glory. Remember that with Denzel Washington?
No, no.
Oh, you guys see it. Yeah. But my point, they were signing when they were signing the contract to get into the Army.
Yeah.
And prepared whatever. You know what I'm saying? They signed for it. Yeah. So that's documented sitting up there in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And so you say to yourself, well, why don't we just go back to the records
Sure.
and get that resolved. You
Yeah.
know my point?
Sure.
And it actually represent a whole bunch of other folks, but the people starts off, the name of the game is like trustees and all that other good stuff.
Right.
But now all of a sudden we will be able to put a dent in some issues that we keep carrying today that prevents us from being Americans across the board.
Sure. Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
We don't need to go back and fight that war again. You know, 'cause we're all hurting.
Yeah. Oh, hey, man.
So now we're part of the village. Everybody's part of the village now.
Yep.
I'm throwing this out to you
Yep.
because but I've learned how to deal with it through communication.
Now, well, here's something I found about land, okay? Now, I go to this little village in Mexico, okay?
Right.
And pretty regular, every couple of years, something like that. And they own their land communally, okay, because of a miracle that happened. Okay, in 1640, I think it was, the Spanish, of course, conquered Mexico. And one of the things they did along the coastline is they'd line up all the villagers on the coastline and they'd shoot a third of them and say, don't mess with us. Right? Okay? Oh, yeah,
Well,
pretty clear.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, that's where you get that term, the rich and the poor. There's no such thing as middle class in Mexico today.
Yeah, well,
I hate to put it that way.
yeah, well, what they did in this village is they lined them up on the beach, and a golden orb came down from the sky and lit up the Virgin Mary on one of their banners. Okay, so the admiral of the fleet wrote to the King of Spain and said, hey, man, this happened.
Yeah.
So the King of Spain said, give them title to their land from this point here to this point there. So they predate Mexico by like 150 years, man.
Wow.
So, but they own their land communally.
Wow.
Okay, which is a real interesting thing. Okay, yeah.
Oh, you brought us some good points.
Now, what happened in the 60s is in this little village. Now, the land is quite an area. It's quite a swath, right? So there are a lot of small little villages.
Right.
But in this little village there, the 5 people decided they were the anointed families.
Okay.
And they decided among themselves anything that you could fence and maintain, key part, maintain, was yours.
Wow.
Okay, so these 5 families, and it's a tourist village. A bunch of gringos come there in the winter.
Right.
So a bunch of gringos come and spend money, right? So, you know, they have some money. And so if you're a member of the family, you know, then they've got their land. So, you know, there's a place where you can build your home, right? So then he works for a little while, you know, and makes some money, and then he puts down a slab, you know, and the next year he puts up a few walls. Pretty soon he's got himself
Villa, big
he's
time.
got himself a house, right? You know, and so then, by gosh, you know, he works and, you know, grows up, has a family and all this. Pretty soon what they did, they put on a second floor. And they put a gringo on the roof is what the deal is, right?
A gringo. What are you talking about, gringo? What's a gringo?
White man.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Hey, you don't know that.
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that.
Okay. Mexican term. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what they get all that cash income. Okay. They can't mortgage their property because it can't be foreclosed on.
Now I understand why. And all due respect, when it's in the construction aspect of it, they've got to hire so many Mexicans in that area.
No. Well, it's interesting, you know, how that ownership of land works.
The land work piece.
See, nobody owns the land, okay, so it can't be foreclosed on. But they have a formal, informal agreement. Okay, you can get a lease from one of those 5 families.
Okay.
And you can lease a piece of property and you can build on it and stuff like this, but your lease is only as good as that family's word is. If you got a good family, fine, you know, and if that father doesn't die and his son take over.
And he changes his mind.
Yeah, right. But, you know, that's just kind of the way the formal, informal thing works. But here's the land thing, okay? This is the thing to me, okay? It's all stolen land, right?
Right.
Okay, pretty much, you know, maybe not all of it, but pretty much. Okay, so, and we see, you know, here, us white people in this culture that we're in, this capitalist culture, okay, we don't own the land, man. You know, the county owns the land because they can foreclose on it. The bank owns the land, man. All you're doing is paying on it. You realize how many times that land you're on right now has been paid for?
Oh, my God. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Okay, and it's never been paid off, has it?
No,
not at all.
no,
Okay,
right.
so now this isn't quite right. I like the meme. There's a meme of a gorilla with his arm around a guy,
Yeah.
kind of a bush-looking guy.
Right.
And the gorilla saying to him, you're the only one that pays to live here.
Woo.
Yeah, isn't that tough? Yeah. Okay, so now we're talking about the unhoused. Okay, there's plenty of land. That's not a problem.
Yeah, because what you shared in regards to the acquisition of property is all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So if we own the land communally, okay, let's say that we deeded the land to communities 3,000 and smaller, 5,000 and smaller, whatever kind of deal, and you got to do some kind of ratchet because you got these real fancy properties here.
Right.
But if it's not, everybody gets their primary residence for free.
Right.
Okay, anybody that doesn't have a residence, we'll give them land that they can build a home on. Okay, might be some restrictions on how to build and all this kind of stuff, but the community will decide that. Okay, this would give community control, and the payments, if it's not your primary residence, in effect, right now, you're paying X amount on that land. You pay that to the community now instead of to the bank. And the community decides how that money is going to be spent in the community. Okay, different than property taxes, but then again, it takes property taxes away, so the county can't foreclose on your property anymore. But then again, you've got responsibilities too, as a community member.
Okay.
So you've got money at the community level where the community knows more what it needs than the government. Okay, so to me, that's something that would fundamentally change, this system of inequity that we have, where the banks own everything. If we could take it so the banks don't own the land, then we got something. Okay. Yeah, and everybody would have a home.
That's another option.
Oh yeah. So that's a radical option. Okay, because
it needs to be
it's all based on private property ownership. This is mine. You can't come on here. This is mine. Oh, this is my government's property. I'm the government. You can't do this. You can't do that. And the community basically goes, whatever, man. We'll work around it. And they do. But we really don't have any control over our government, really. It does what it wants, and most of the time, a lot of the time, the government views us as the enemy. We can't give them
but
all
still, I still get confused from the standpoint of saying I've been taught through school, etc., that government was of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Yeah, I was taught that too.
I'm believing that's where it is today. Now,
really?
Now, I do understand as an elected entity that I can go through, and if I don't vote for you, you're still my leader, okay? Okay, and I have a little concern about that because I don't have the monies to counter it in many ways. And that's one, in fact, in all due respect, that's one of the reasons why I mean, since I'm not at the major table, but I can be at the major table like you and I were when we filed to run for office. Because in that primary, everybody's at the table. Because they've got to at least listen to what your platform is.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of times the media that we have today, that's one of the requirements that they are part of. To reach out to you, get your name, say, well, come on in here, and we're going to interview you.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, not necessarily your questions, but we're going to interview you. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Or if not that, you got 3 minutes.
That's right.
How do you do your whole life in 3 minutes? I just went through that with one of the major news people. In fact, just happened to be Ken Body, and at Channel 6. But the bottom line is that, and then the others, I said no to.
Yeah.
So he gave. So it went from fought, and it went from 3 minutes to 5 minutes.
Oh.
And then what I did, I said, okay, well, all right. I mean, Ken Body is doing it, and I know what it is. So I'll take advantage of the 5. So what I did, I put all of my major points, some of my major points, in on at least 1 minute.
Oh.
and then I wrote it all up. You know, a lot of times people just be reading it,
Sure.
you know, as opposed to just being ad-libbing from the person, right?
Sure.
So I said, well, I'm going to get my points across because I'm being interviewed by someone who didn't have the background that I had.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, I went before the two. It was a Zoom piece. It wasn't a real world piece. And I said, okay, fine. Now let me read this piece, the first minute, and then we can get in the discussion that you want to ask me some questions.
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh no, you can't do that.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So then I had a choice. What do I do? Do I just stop the deal? But they were recording anyway, so it didn't mean anything. It wasn't a live deal like here.
Right.
We do our piece. We don't edit anything we talk about here. But it was interesting how it was done. So consequently, I came close to being able to talk to a specific. But I wanted to make sure that the I's and T's were dotted based on his criteria.
Sure.
You see, man, we're not just having because in all due respect, he didn't have my background.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? So realistically, when we're having a discussion, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he should tell me specifically what area you want to talk to. In fact, in all due come to me, and then boom, I say, okay, fine. I think we need to do this because I got the background, blah blah. I got the resume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that didn't happen. So I'm just throwing something out to you with reference to the system,
Sure.
the way it is.
Oh, it is.
And unlike here, you got more than 3 minutes or 1 minute. We're doing a series right now.
But here's something I found out though with that I mentioned earlier that box outside City Hall. And,
right.
Okay. Something I've found because I've been an advocate for quite a while. Okay, is you can never see the effect you cause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I never knew that it was Sam Adams who told them to give me that back.
Right.
Okay, so and this is one of my things about advocacy. Okay, is that you can never lose.
No, you can't lose.
You never lose, man. You just do what you need to do.
That's right. And like you said, if you've got a resume, it's yours.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you don't have a resume, they create one for you.
Sure. Oh yeah.
That's the difference between media and how they do things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They are the ones that create your resume and ask you the questions, as opposed to asking you, noting where you're coming from. In fact, if I had my point, I think I made that point to you once before, that if I had to change anything on the election process as far as application, I would require that that the person who's going to be running for office has to attach a resume to the application form.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives the media an opportunity to stick to the facts.
Sure.
About these are the areas that this is
expertise
background and expertise. Yeah. These are the issues that we're talking to, and then look and make a judgment. You know, say, look, can this person blah blah blah? May have a committee that'll say, okay, fine, we're going to look at all the applicants and find out if they have any background, if these are the major issues that we're looking for solutions.
Right. Yep.
Otherwise, right now, you can't ask the person from media to go that direction. About the solution because they have no background.
Well, they're given an assignment.
Exactly.
Okay,
they're working
and basically they're talking heads that is given an assignment just like a computer, and they go out and they get the assignment and they get it in the can. So, you know, and it's not necessary. They have an idea of how they want to spin whatever it is that they're doing.
That's right.
That's what it is spin. So
well, I have asked many times to the medias to reach out and come here on the Oregon Voters Digest.
Yeah.
And talk to me about the issue.
I can't do that. That's not the way we work. You don't understand.
But we're all part of the village now. We got problems. Yeah. That's why I'm being so candid now, and yourself. You know, my point is that I'm not trying to be anti who we are.
Yep.
I'm just trying to say, hey, look here.
Here we are.
Here we are. I've developed a lane through the years because of this advocacy part of it, aspect of it. And as a result of that, we've had to act just to maintain in a solution-oriented piece, just to stay here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, otherwise we couldn't have a show like this.
Right.
We just gabbing. Mm-hmm. This is serious stuff. This is not a whole bunch of notes.
Yep.
We're talking about you've been in housing before, you've been in tent, the whole 9 yards. I'm in the same boat. I've built housing. I've done a number of things. My
Yep.
resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking anybody trying to be cutie pie or whatever. I'm just saying you need this kind of conversation
Yeah.
to solve the issues as far as solutions concerned. We're talking about change, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For all of us.
Yep.
For the benefit of us all.
Yeah.
And like I indicated before in the last show, whether it be corporation, whatever. Look, I want the millionaires to be who they are. No problem. If you're able to win the lotto, that's about the only legal stuff legitimate you can come up with the money. In fact, but anyway, I'm not trying to be facetious about it or whatever. But we're in some serious problems right now.
Yeah.
We've got 300 million people here in our country, and the country that we developed, and they did their own thing, and in fact they were slaves in many ways. They've got 3 billion people. It's called China. Remember that?
Yep.
They went through all kind of birth. They didn't do it. They threw those pills away, I think. They got 3 billion people over there.
Yeah.
You can't have a conventional war,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And we got folks in India. If anybody should know a solution to the homeless problems,
Yeah.
it should be those individuals that have been educated, that are living in these United States, that
Yeah.
are sitting in leadership roles, that are elected to office. They can say, is it solvable or it's not? That's your whole culture.
Yep. Sure,
That's
it's
your whole
solvable.
culture. It's all solvable. But my point is that they don't react to that. They just basically join the status quo, and we're right back where we
Sure.
started.
Well, hey, you don't want to rock the boat.
No.
Okay. So you just go along. And by gosh, that's how you get good grades in college too.
Yeah.
You repeat back what they tell you. You don't think for yourself.
Well, here's a degree nowadays.
Uh-huh.
You got the test, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay, we got about 11 minutes. We got any other goodies?
No, Mel, but let me go back to the Iroquois, the
Let's go.
seven tribes of the Iroquois.
Okay, yeah.
And I was doing some research on that, and they actually invited the 7 tribes of the Iroquois to come to their constitutional convention and express to them how they did it.
Really?
Yep.
That's way back when?
Way back in
Ben Franklin?
1775. 4.
Oh, the Ben Franklins and all those folks.
Yeah.
Okay, really?
Yeah. So it was very influential in the forming of our government, and as you know, that history wasn't taught to us.
No, it wasn't.
No, but I appreciate that my friend taught it to me, and I did
Interesting.
research.
It's a Native American.
And it's
Interesting.
it's solid, and it's solid, and there's no doubt that we gave the Native Americans a short shaft, just like we gave the blacks the short shaft.
That's right.
But kind of one of my things about it, is that if you look at this culture now, it's prejudiced by poor.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if you look at the Native Americans or the blacks or the whites that are poor, that those people, and that's why there's an overrepresentation of all of those subgroups, because it's a war on poverty, and the war is winning. LBJ didn't win. He did some good things, though.
Yeah, he did. He did some good things.
He did.
And like I said, there has changed. Now we have an education system. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, things are really pouring out, and some folks now are attacking the education system.
Certainly.
About going to the well-to-do schools. Now I understand what the folks with wealth are all about.
Yeah.
They had their own schools.
Absolutely.
And if you wanted to meet someone with that kind of a background, that's where you went to school.
That's right.
And so they made certain restrictions.
That's right.
But now all of a sudden we got into, excuse the French, the affirmative action thing, and all of a sudden now you see somewhat of a diversity, and then up jump some folks that said, no, we got to cut this stuff off now.
That's right.
And it wasn't about just black folks.
Oh no.
It was just the poor.
The poor.
Poor white. No, just the
That's
poor
right.
aspect of it. And I'll say this point blank is that the reason why they're looking at these poor people and this, that, and the other, all of a sudden they're worried about them, and they can't communicate with them, because the bottom line is that those are the people that were the solution.
Mm-hmm.
They're the one that had the resume to deal with the issues that are being discussed today. They have the solutions, But say, well, no, we've got the solution.
Right.
And we want to do it this way.
That's right.
So we're in the midst of a change. Again, we're a big village now. We got a big tent.
All right, good.
Whether you like it or not, if you're a corporation, if you're a multimillionaire, or whatever you are, we've got to solve these problems.
It's a good idea.
Good idea, got me?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And right up front with you, the solution to these problems are with the poor people.
That's right.
And the poor people.
Yep.
And you got to bring them to the table.
Yep.
And many of them are educated and they got the resume. They got the resume, then they're educated.
Yep.
You see my point?
Sure.
You can be restricted from basically going to these schools, but the only other opportunity you're gonna survive.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that survivorship, you're gonna understand what it takes to grow food on the land,
Mm-hmm.
to get shelter,
Mm-hmm.
right? To be secure.
That's right.
See, and that might be done in a rude way, whatever, but that's really where we are. And if we can all understand that, we can have a discussion.
Sure.
And at the end of the day,
But the guy that owns the table doesn't want us there, brother.
But I got a leg, you got a leg. See, you understand what I'm saying? You got me? But this has been very, very enjoyable. We got about 7 or 8 more minutes anyway. But this has been very enjoyable. We did the first series, so I would share it with the viewing audience. We've got a series of 2. Mike has been on for the first, once before, and then this is the second time around, if you will. And you can go to YouTube and pick up that first show. And we're asking you to share it with your neighbors, to share it with people you know, to share it with the elected officials that are sitting in your area, whether it be Multnomah County or the city of Portland. And I tell you, the person that will read it, Benway, would be the chairman of Multnomah County.
Oh yeah.
Her name is Peterson. The commissioners do as they're told. They don't have too many. It's changing though. I noticed that they got some people that are getting on the board now. They're running for commissioner.
Yeah.
Julia Brim Everett, Julia Brim, and her resume was with the education because she sat on the school board for many, many moons, and so she really communicated with the public. Had to.
Yeah.
Had those mothers, thinking about their kids.
Oh yeah.
So consequently, she's got good background, so she's now an elected official.
Yeah.
You got me? So that's another vote. And then there's Marion. There's another person who ran for county commissioner. I'd say she's an RN or an ER, a nurse type deal.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking about mentally illness, that's part of her resume.
Sure.
And so that's 2 votes.
Yep.
So all you need now is a 3rd vote.
Well, hey, now when we got this whole new form of government coming up here, man.
And boy, I'm glad you brought that up because, see, people are saying, Nancy, there's a whole bunch of groups, a small group, that say, we need to get rid of, wait a minute, we don't want this stuff. Wait a minute. You appointed the people. They made a decision.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, we're going to districtize for the first time the city of Portland.
Yeah.
In an area, and you're going to have 3 commissioners there. So the bottom line, someone's going to pick up the phone.
That's right.
Someone's going to pick up that phone.
You think so?
You got 3 people.
You think
because
so?
They got your
You
address.
are optimist.
No, they got their address.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And you got
it's
boundaries.
local.
It's local. Yeah, you got boundaries.
Right.
You can't get out there. You're not now you're representing the city of Portland, and you just 1 vote, but that vote is being controlled by another element. You can control that piece.
Right.
I'm just saying. Plus the fact you can run for that office for a change.
Yep.
You got me? They should also districtize the school system. It's not.
Yep.
You got to run citywide. You got my point? But if you districtize, guess what? Some of the mothers in there will get elected.
That's right.
Because guess what? They're powerful because those are their kids.
That's right.
It's not the male kid.
Hey, man.
They brought them over.
Mother
right?
bears.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's my... Now, naturally, you got representation that's sitting there right now that you can get off track because of how they have been proceeding.
Sure.
I'm talking about the present folks.
Oh,
right?
they're siloed.
Right. But with this new fresh, here's an opportunity with your phone system piece.
There you go.
Now put the issues on the table and get out to people and say vote, but don't play the same game.
Well, there's no political party involved in it at all. It's all about ideas.
I'm agreeing with you. See, so I'm just saying this is going to cut down a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
In each district.
Yep.
Now, the well-to-do will be represented, but one district.
That's right.
They got these other districts here. The poor folks are going to have representation also too, and you're going to have 3 people. Got me? But when you vote for these people, make sure you ask them for the resume.
Yep.
Make sure you ask them for the resume, and you can do this by gathering around and blah 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 routine. And hopefully, we're sharing this with the media.
Yep.
Interview these folks, but make sure they have the resume for that respective area.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That respective area. Now we're going to have we're going to have a city manager.
Right.
A city manager is going to be there, and so that's really, he's going to be basically handling the bureaus.
Right, handling it all.
And the bureaus got all the answers.
Sure.
In many ways, but in all due respect to our president-elect said, we don't have no background.
Yep.
So consequently, they're just sitting there in many ways, just going back and forth. But the bottom line is, and then the mayor is going to be there. If you know that there was another attempt by one of the folks that's already elected to office, and then Dan, he's there, he's fresh, he's new, and his point was that the mayor should have a kind of a repeal position.
A veto.
A veto on everything.
Yep.
Wait a minute, that's not majority rule.
Right.
I mean, that's not, no. If the score is 1-0, you lost the game.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
No. You got 12 people here. Yeah. You raised the hand, and my point is, if you got 12 people, you got look at if it's that would be 6 to 5.
Yep.
6-1. That's the law.
Right.
See, so these other people have to lobby these other entities about the issues.
Sure.
So when you want to understand about the whole issue with some of the ideas that you talked about, you may have to go to this neighborhood right over here, and you're gonna have to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it'll be brought to the people.
Yep.
Now the reporters will be able to report what's going on.
You think so? Jeez.
As long as we do a show,
yeah.
And you got your telephone piece.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, this has been very, very enjoyable.
Good.
And in all due respect, we're not trying to, we're not offending anybody by doing what we're doing right now and having this show. I mean, Michael he's well knowledgeable. Let's put it that way, and he's been there. He's got the resume. He has been there. It's very important. Again, you go on the air. It says watch us on YouTube. There it is, YouTube.com, Oregon Voter Digest. Very, very important. And get it out and share it with people. Use your telecommunication piece.
Yeah.
Okay? There it is, right there. You know what I mean? And send it out to folks. And like you said, and get out and vote.
There you go.
Get out and vote. It's very important. And if you want to run for office, start looking for people within your respective zone. And hopefully media is going to basically start sharing exactly where you live for your respective zone.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what's going on, who the people are, and see who's eligible and who might have a resume that would be respectful and to respond to the issues within your particular deal with solutions. Yep. And then join us here on Oregon Voters Digest with my dear friend Mike, because I'm going to make sure he's here on doing this voting process aspect. And we're going to go to each district.
All right.
And talk to who those folks are.
Good idea.
And talk to what are the issues in each of those districts, because he's got the background. I got some of the background aspect of it. And we're going to invite anybody else that has those ideas.
Good idea.
And we're going to really get to the, and we're going to have a village one. At the end of the day, we're going to have a village that we're all happy.
All right. Okay,
good enough.
Oh, you're an idealist. I like that.
Got to. In my 80s now, right? Okay, got to be.
Good for you.
Okay, have a good one, folks. We'll see you next week. Tune in.